Hello, everybody. It's nice to have you all here with us again. My name is Britta Scott. For those of you that don't know me, I own Britta's Bookkeeping and Payroll Services, and I have another amazing guest with me today. I have Marci Barker, and I met Marci a couple of months ago at a retreat up in around Bear Lake, and she has some amazing things that she's done, and I thought it would be super fun to interview her, especially going along with the theme that I have this month. We're talking this month about ways that we can keep ourselves at the top of our game as a business owner, physically, mentally, emotionally. And Marci has written a book called The Accountability Code, and during that retreat, there it is right there. It's awesome.
I have it in my back pocket.
Hey, absolutely. It's a prize. I think it's awesome. So I've asked Marci to come on and share some tips and tricks about things, why she wrote the book, what we can do, and how it can be beneficial to us. So Marci, tell us a little bit about your book and the reason you wrote it.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, Britta. I am so glad that you asked me to share. I can talk all day long. So if I get too long-winded, you can be like, okay, next question, next topic. But yeah, I am a life and fitness coach. My background is in personal training and nutrition. And last year I was on a reality TV show, and it was a competition for business owners to scale. And they said, in order to establish yourself as an expert in your field, you're going to write a book. And I was like, okay, I've heard writing a book is cool. I don't necessarily want to, but what do I do? And I help people shift habits with movement, mindset, and nutrition. And they actually told us we were going to write 3 books. And I was like, no, I think one is good. So
we'll start with one, and then we'll see where that goes, right?
So I had to ask myself, what message is most important? And it all came down to mindset. So I had the big task of putting my whole philosophy into actionable steps that people can utilize to become accountable. Because even before I became the accountability queen, my whole mantra was true happiness comes only when our spirits learn to control our bodies, training them to be governed by the laws of God. And this fits in perfectly with the topic. So thank you for having me on, because when you said, I want to talk about being at the top of your game, it reminded me when I was in a business meeting and somebody said, hey, do you want to go out to lunch? And I said, totally fine. And he seemed so nervous to ask me this question. And he said, you just wrote a book on accountability. So you have to be on top of your game all the time, don't you? And I said,
does that ever make you nervous?
Well, I said, yeah, I do need to be at the top of my game, but so do you. Everybody needs to, because accountability is not going anywhere, whether it is immediate or put off or internal, external. Our consequences are always going to hit us. So the trick that I've told people, the number one trick to being accountable is you have to recognize what's important to you and what's not important to you. So for example, when I started my personal training business, I'm sharing videos online and people are like, oh, you're a personal trainer. Let me see your 6-pack. And I was like, I don't have to have a 6-pack to know what I'm talking about. And I honestly don't run my business to be some hot, sexy influencer. So I decided in that moment, I could be a personal trainer that didn't need a 6-pack. Who cares anyway? So when it comes to being at the top of your game, you have to define what expectations are you actually trying to reach? Because it's really, really easy to not be accountable to things you don't care about. And
right. So I love that. That is so important to recognize. Okay, everybody's goals and everybody's top of their game is going to look different. So that's why it's such an individual thing. That's such a great point.
Yeah. And expectations of other people, that's where we fail. Yeah, that's where we fail, is because we decided we had to live up to somebody else's goals. No, thank you. Not me. I don't do that.
I need you to teach this to my teenager, well, I'm still learning it too, right? But
yeah. Well, the cool thing about the book is, so it's not fluff. I've had a lot of people be like, oh, I've started it, I haven't finished it. And it's just because it's full of actionable steps. So that's a really cool part, is you can literally pull up a different topic. There are 6 steps in the accountability code, and you can just pick one that resonates with you. And I'm going to not only tell you why it's relevant, but I can give you experience of implementing it, and I'm going to teach you exactly how to do it. So accountability is a big deal, but I'm never going to force you to do what I want you to do, because I don't I don't care. I don't have to live your life. You're the one that has to become really good at listening to yourself. So my nickname is your loving kick in the pants. And that's really my goal, is to help you understand that you can do all the things that are important to you, but you have to let go of the things that don't really matter.
That's awesome. Such great advice and such a good reminder, right? Like, you can hire a coach and you can help have them be there to be your accountability, right? But unless you are the ones that are you're the one that's willing to go in and do the work, then it's not going to really matter anyways. You've got to make that a priority and actually be accountable to the accountability. So
well, and it has to be a plan that you want to do. It like take personal training, for example. People are like, oh, I need you to kick my butt in the gym. And then they stop with the trainer and then they stop their workouts. And it's because they were accountable to that meeting, to that trainer, but it wasn't something that was truly enjoyable or sustainable for them. So business is a really good example. We can hire a coach and we can say, teach me how to grow my business. And there's a lot of business success that comes from following a very specific plan, but it doesn't mean it's going to be fulfilling for you. So the accountability code is the perfect way to really define what's important to you and then making that happen. So I like this too, because bookkeeping, there's so many parallels. It's like, that's exact. Like, you can't be messing up. You have to do exactly what is right. And when we do that for ourselves, when we're exact with ourselves, that's where happiness comes from. And the blessing is we have a million different ways to make $1 million. There's a million different ways to be healthy and at peace with yourself. And so my job is to help you find what's right for you. And then just like you help your clients be exact with what they care about, what their goals are, that's what I do with their mind and body.
that's awesome. So tell me a little bit more about a couple of the steps. I know that's probably too long to really go into, but I mean, you walked us through this and it was really beneficial. And, just so people can get a taste of what it would look like to follow your accountability code.
Yeah. So I'll share the 6 of them, just list them off. And then I'll tell you about the 2 that stick out to me at this moment right now. The first step is reflection. So that's you venting to your friend, talking to a potential client, coach, whatever. It's thinking on your values, goals, and struggles. Once you do that, you can move into the second step of humility. And humility is recognizing that you're not all that in a bag of chips. There's a reason why you're struggling, but we have so many sources that are ready to help us level up. So the third step is planning. So we have to know, where are we at right now? What's point A and what's point B? And who do we know that has gotten there before? What does that plan look like? After we get a broad, detailed proposal, we take it down a notch and we say, okay, implementing is the next step. And that is putting into use your desired skills or values. So if I'm trying to run my business, I need to know follow-up is important, lead generation is important, connecting with my clients, making sure I'm delivering what I enrolled my clients in. Implementing is actually doing the things that we care about, not being perfect, but doing those things. Then the 5th step is commitment. And commitment is dedicating yourself to a person or a cause. This is where I come in as an accountability coach, because the commitment items are black and white. You either did it or you didn't do it. And it's very clear to see if you did or didn't. And then the last step is feedback. And that is information used as a basis for improvement. So the coolest thing about feedback is after we've taken action, we can say what worked, what didn't work, what did I enjoy, what drove me nuts, what stressed me out. We take all that information and we plug it into the top again, and it becomes our reflection, so we can just become a better version of ourselves.
Sometimes those are hard to hear, but I think it's it's a very critical step, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
If you think about it, if you're not willing to take the feedback, then just quit what you're doing because obviously you're good enough already. So feedback is very important, but it's also how we become better. And as humans, we need to know that we're progressing, because that's the God-given gift that we have to become more than what we were born with. So reflection is my favorite, because everybody is amazing at reflection. You cannot escape yourself. Your brain's always going and you're always thinking on your goals, your values, and your problems. So getting started with being accountable is extremely easy because reflection is the first step. Now we're going to skip a few steps and I want to talk about commitment, because if you ask anybody, what's your favorite step of the code? Reflection is the most fun for people, but guess what they don't like? The implementing and the commitment. So commitment items are really cool because when I go through the accountability code with my clients, the commitment items are what I take from our call and I put into my app to hold them accountable. So when I'm working together, I can say, we talked about these things. Did you do it or did you not do it? And that is really what brings the accountability code into life, is that we're actually doing the things that we have set ourselves out to do. And the commitments just are a really good way to build confidence because you can see the progress in what you're actually doing. So everybody's going to find a step that they like, and other people, they don't like the steps. And that's why they hire me to kick them in the butt to get it done in a loving way. But
I love it.
I want to ask you, when we did go through the accountability code, what's something that stuck out to you, or as you've perused the book a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, I think reflection, like you said, it's easy. It's the easiest thing to do, right? Sometimes it's not human nature. Like, I've got all these other things on my plate. The easiest thing is to like, okay, I'm doing something. I'm reflecting, I'm thinking, I'm doing all that. But I do have to say, like, coaching is critical. I love having a coach. I love having the opportunity to have that loving kick in the pants, like you said, that keeps me on task and gets me doing some of those harder things. So all the steps really made a lot of sense to me. Sometimes it's hard for me to like sit down and think about it and put things into words. I am a numbers person, not a creative sort. And so it was really beneficial to kind of just make myself stop and think about those things and put it all into paper and create some steps. So I loved the process. It was great. And I think it's so beneficial.
Yeah. Well, like you, I'm very methodical too. So I love that you absolutely love bookkeeping, because there's all the people who need the people who love numbers and love to be exact and all of that. And so
we all have our unique specials gifts, right?
Well, and going into a profession or creating a business or a career out of your strengths is one of the best ways to build happiness and personal accountability in your life, because it's easy to follow through with something that you enjoy. It's really hard to follow through with something that just doesn't make you happy. So I've loved that you love it, because I benefit from people like you handling the stuff that I don't really care about.
Right. We'll let you do that because you're amazing at it, and I'll keep my day job. So awesome. Cool. Well, so I know we're getting short on time here, but if people have questions and would like to reach out to you, are you open to people contacting you if I post your information?
Yes, please. I absolutely love it. And the accountability code can be applied to anything. It can be applied to leveling up in your business. It can help you get away from trauma or some chronic issues you've had in your life. So I would love more than anything for people to book a call with me, and I'd be happy to take you through the accountability code. And if people want to buy my book, they can get it on the same link. But if you guys buy it because of Britta's video here, I will also give you the audiobook for free too. So, cool. But yeah, I want nothing more than to help people find clarity, because the world becomes a better place when people are happy and they follow through with what they really care about. Like, we need more and more people to take on that fight rather than just survive what's given to them.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your expertise, and excited to have other people be able to experience the system that you've created for accountability. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for what you do. I have to shout you out. You guys, when I first met Britta, it was at a Lady Bosses retreat. And if you haven't heard about that, you guys need to come to the Lady Bosses retreat. But Britta and I, we had seen each other throughout the days, and Britta was like, hey, I haven't met you yet. I'd like to get to know you. And I absolutely loved that, because I needed that, because typically I'm the person that goes around to talk to everybody, but Britta beat me to it. And I just appreciate that. You just have this sweet caringness about you that has rubbed off on me, and I need all that I can get. So
well, your enthusiasm and excitement are definitely contagious. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
okay. Awesome. Okay. Thanks everybody for joining us. And thanks again, Marci.
You're welcome.